What is up, everybody? Matt Gajewski here, back again talking college basketball. And we made it. It is Saturday, January the 17th. This is our first Mega Saturday show. Because these lines come out so late on Friday in a lot of places, we're working with a time crunch. So doing this live to avoid some upload times and try to get this out as quickly as possible. And if you want to ask questions while we're on the air, feel free. There's over 140 games today. We have sides totals projected for all of them. Analysis might not be as clean just due to time, but I'll try to give you the best I can on any games you have questions about. Before we get into this, if you like the video, please consider subscribing to the channel or liking the video itself. Those two things help us. It goes a long way, just getting us in front of new viewers and helping the channel grow. And last thing, if you or somebody you know has a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. We do talk sides and totals on these breakdowns. So let's go into the SEC. Florida is taking on Vanderbilt. This is an interesting game, a clash of styles. Vanderbilt -2, and the total has taken money. It's up to 163. A lot of this just stems from the fact that Florida plays an immense lineup. Vanderbilt plays a very small lineup, and they shoot a lot of threes. Basically, it's strength on weakness when both teams have the ball. So to get here, currently Florida's number 10. They're 12-5. A lot of their losses are to the best of the best, including Arizona, Duke, UConn. Two that are a little more questionable, TCU and Missouri, are outside the top 50, but this is a good body of work for Florida, even in their losses. Then wins over Miami, Tennessee. The only true road win they have is against Oklahoma, which was their last game, but that's at least a mild concern. They have the 5th ranked strength of schedule. Vanderbilt is 16-1, only losses to Texas. That was in their last game on Wednesday, and that's where the size really showed up for them. They were out-rebounded 42-24. They only shot 37% from inside the arc. It's going to happen when you're at a severe size disadvantage. They only have one top 25 win. It was against Alabama. But they beat a lot of decent teams. They've only played the 35th ranked schedule, but that's a concern for Vandy, certainly. This height difference, Florida's 8th, Vanderbilt's 271st. Rebounding, Florida is the best rebounding team in the country. They're awesome on both ends. Vanderbilt is 56, which is a credit to them, but Thomas Hawk, Alex Condon, Ruben Chinyelu, Micah Hanlock, that are all 6'9" or taller. They use 3 of them on the court at once. The only player with that kind of size on Vanderbilt is Jalen Washington, and when we just saw him playing a sizable team in Texas, he fouled out in 15 minutes. I don't know, man. This is a pretty rough matchup for Vandy. Anyway, let's start with Florida, because the big thing with them is, yeah, they're awesome inside, but they're also 352nd in three-point percentage. This team cannot shoot. Their 2 main guards, Boogie Fland and Xavier Lee, are both shooting below 25% from 3. The best three-point shooter is Urban Klavchar, but he's also their worst defender. It's a double-edged sword when he's on the floor. So you're going to see Florida just try to pound the post. Vanderbilt is 67th inside. McLaughlin is a decent defender down there, but man, he has a problem fouling. He's probably going to foul out of this game. So when Vandy has the ball, I think you're probably just going to need them to bomb threes, probably more than they normally shoot, and they're already shooting a ton. And they have good shooters. Tyler Tanner, Duke Miles, Tyler Nickel, A.K. Okereke are all solid shooters, above 37%. Nickel's at 47%. And Florida, they're going to protect the rim. Vanderbilt, they have an advantage on the perimeter. Florida's 161st defending the 3, partially just because Florida will let you shoot threes while they pack the paint. It's going to be an awesome game. One other path, maybe Florida's turnovers cause them some issues in this game. They are 184th. Again, their guards aren't very good. Vanderbilt is 11th in turnovers forced. If you can get out in transition and get some points that way, maybe that's a path. But again, it goes both ways. Vandy is the turnover edge. Florida, their foul margin is crazy. And then you look at what Vandy has. Devin McLaughlin, 5.4 fouls per 40 minutes. He's fouling out on average. Jalen Washington, 5 fouls per 40 minutes. He's fouling out on average. He fouled out in 15 minutes in their last game. But anyway, last thing on this contest, tempo is fast. Florida 70th, Vanderbilt 46th. We currently have the score is 78.5 Florida, 81.5 for Vandy, and we did play an over. Took this yesterday when the number was at 160.5. 163 is okay at the current number. If you made me pick a side, which I really don't want to do, it's Florida or pass, but man, this is one that is pretty tough, and I don't have the best feel on. One other thing, also, still battling an illness. So if I mute myself to cough, that's what the pauses are for. I'm going to do that now. All right. Let's roll. BYU, Texas Tech in the Big 12. Man, this is a good game. Texas Tech's a 3-point favorite at home, 161 total. This game is going to be so good. No major injuries in the game. Luke Bamoe has been out for a while for Texas Tech. So to get here, BYU, number 13 in the country, they're 16-1. Their only loss is to UConn it was a neutral floor. It was closer to UConn, so they call it semi-away, but it was a 2-point loss. They have top 50 wins over Nova, Wisconsin, Miami, Clemson. Their only road wins are Kansas State and Utah, which is a bit of a problem, and they are 42nd in strength of schedule. So the big thing with this BYU team is they have not played the best competition this year. Like Texas Tech, they're 23rd, 13-4. Their losses are to Illinois, Purdue, Arkansas, and Houston. 3 of those teams are in the top 10. So that's important. There's also an incredible home court. Texas Tech has not lost at home. They only have 2 wins that are decent, I would say, LSU and Duke. But still, 6th most difficult schedule. Played competitively in most of those games that they lost, excluding Purdue. Houston was a 4-point game. Illinois was a 4-point game. This is a good body of work for Texas Tech. Their main problem is their depth. So BYU 118th in height. Texas Tech is 304th. They do play a small lineup, but rebounding is still pretty close. Both teams are great offensively. And outside of Robert Wright for BYU, everyone is 6'5" or taller. The only player above 6'6" on Texas Tech is JT Toppin. So this is something to watch in this game. BYU is going to be a lot bigger. When BYU has the ball, 28th in effective field goal, 29th inside, 79th from 3. About middle of the pack shooting threes. Robert Wright and Richie Saunders both at 40%. But Debonsa, I mean, he's probably going to be the number 1 pick. Everything runs through him. Sometimes they use him as a point forward. And when they do that, I mean, their lineup is immense. He's the 2nd most efficient player in the Big 12. And then, I mean, Wright and Saunders are both top 6. Texas Tech plays a pretty good defense for the most part, 31st, but they're vulnerable. Toppin is the only thing they have inside. If he fouls, which 2 things can happen. Obviously, if he's off the floor, this team is cooked. But then maybe to preserve him and not foul, you can see them play a little lighter defense, which is a problem too. And I mean, outside of him, like Lawan Watts is going to be on the floor. So the biggest question right now is who is guarding 6'9" AJ Debonsa? I don't know what they're going to try to do. BYU likes playing in transition. Texas Tech can stop that a little bit. But the high-low game is going to be a problem with the size that this BYU team has. I think BYU scores as long as the away environment doesn't rattle them. Texas Tech, 45th in effective field goal. They're 24th in 3-point percentage. Very good there. 95th in 2-point percent. They shoot a ton of threes. Christian Anderson, Donovan Atwell, Jalen Petty are all solid in that area of the floor. Excuse me. But most of the offense flows through JT Toppin. We know this. And BYU, inside 47th in total defense. They're 34th on the perimeter. They have a decent rim protector in Keba Kieta, but I still think Toppin has a pretty big advantage down there. I'm more worried about Toppin on the other end of the floor and fouling. BYU has done a pretty good job stopping inside-out play that Texas Tech will use. They'll throw it into Toppin when he gets doubled to try to kick it out to Christian Anderson, Atwell, or Petty. But the success they've had has been against worse teams. So I kind of think Texas Tech will be able to score on this team as well. As far as the periphery, neither team forces many turnovers. BYU generates a lot more fouls, and they do generate more turnovers too. So BYU 300th in bench minutes. The foul generation thing is more concerning for Texas Tech because they're 360th in bench minutes. I mean, that's a big question for me. Tempo-wise, BYU's 48th, Texas Tech's 187th. Texas Tech trying to slow it down so they don't have to play in transition as much, which is a benefit to them. I don't know, man. I lean BYU plus the 3. The model has it basically 79-81. But, man, I could see Texas Tech running away with this at home. Both these teams have a lot of advantages over each other. So this is, for me, it's going to be a popcorn game. Not one probably playing anything on, but just sit back and watch and gather information. But, man, is this an elite game. All right, next up. Arkansas, Georgia. Fun game here. Georgia's a 2.5-point favorite. The total is 181. I mean, what a crazy total. Pace is going to be nuts. Both these teams are basically top 25. No major injuries. Arkansas is 24th in the country. Georgia is 33rd. For reference, anytime we're referencing rankings, they're from KenPom. They're just more accurate than the AP or whatever other people use. But Arkansas 13-4, Georgia 14-3. Good bodies of work for both teams. Strength of schedule does vastly favor Arkansas. They've played the 20th ranked schedule. Losses to Michigan State, Duke, Houston, and Auburn. Wins over Louisville, Texas Tech, and Tennessee. Georgia, meanwhile, at 14-3. They have the 10th ranked schedule, beating Clemson, Florida, and Ole Miss. Not bad. But they only have 4 top 100 wins. Number 94, Xavier. 56, Cincinnati. 34, Auburn. And 85, South Carolina. Only one of those is really a good, solid win. Stylistically, both teams are pretty tall. Arkansas 67th, Georgia 49th. Rebounding is not all that different for either of these teams. Georgia's better on the offensive glass. They're 29th, but they're pretty bad on the defensive end. They're 280th. As far as Arkansas, 27th in effective field goal, 15th in three-point percent. I wish they'd shoot more threes. They're only 214th in three-point rate. Darius Akoff, Malik Thomas, Trayvon Brazile, and Carter Knox are all 4 of them hitting 40% from 3 or better. And then Knox and Brazile, those are sizable players. It gives you good spacing. Malik Ewan, Nick Pringle, Billy Richmond, they're good around the rim. I mean, this offense is well spaced. Georgia has decent rim protection, probably better than decent with Cyril and Abson. They're 67th in total defense, 33rd inside. Arkansas is going to play in transition. They love to attack the offensive glass. Georgia will play fast too, and they'll definitely allow that style of game. So Arkansas should score. When Georgia has the ball, they play a similar style to Arkansas in the fact that they're going to run. 64th in effective field goal percentage. They do not shoot threes well, and they shoot. It's the opposite of Arkansas. They're 254th in three-point percent, but they shoot at a way higher rate. They're 114th. And hitting this low of a percentage against the competition they face is concerning. It's basically just Marcus Millender at 39.5 and Jeremiah Wilkerson at 36.5. So most of their offense comes through playing in transition and rebounding. Blue Cane has actually been pretty good at getting to the rim. Cyril cleans up off the glass from that 5-hole. Arkansas is 78th in total defense, 228th inside, and 67th on the perimeter. Because they've been bad defending the rim, one thing they've started to do is just double inside, rely on, force those big men to kick it out to shooters and knock down shots. They've done a pretty good job of that, and that's not Georgia's strength. If you're going to basically cut off the basket, have them kick out to open shooters or just shooters in general, they're not the best three-point shooting team, perimeter shooting team. So this does favor Arkansas. Again, tempo is going to be nuts. We took an Arkansas already, took a 3.5, still showing some value on a 2.5. This is one I think you can play so far. All right. What is next? Virginia takes on SMU. So this game, line has been moving a little bit. We have a 1-point spread in favor of UVA, a 153.5 total in this game. Tempo is about average. Virginia is slow, 263rd. SMU is 122nd. So people will poke holes in Virginia's schedule. I actually think it's a little better than what a lot of other people are saying. No major injuries in this game also. Virginia's 15-2. They did have a bad loss. Butler, then Virginia Tech, 3 OT game. But top 50 wins over Texas, NC State, and Louisville. 2 of those are in the top 25. Schedule is 96th overall. This team just has a lot to like. We'll get into the stylistics. SMU is 13-4. Losses to Vandy, LSU, Clemson, Duke. The Duke game, they didn't have Boopy Miller, their best player. That's at least noteworthy. Top 50 wins over Texas A&M and North Carolina. They've got nothing inside the top 35. They did just beat Virginia Tech on a buzzer beater, which was just kind of funny. But they're 39th in strength of schedule. Both teams are very tall, both in the top 25 in height. Both teams good on the glass. Virginia's a little better on both ends of the floor. This Virginia team can really shoot, man. They have a lot of good players. 33rd in effective field goal percentage, 37th from three. They're 43rd in three-point rate, good spacing, like a test to Ritter's at 39% from the perimeter. Jakari White's at 49%. He's back from injury. Then like Dallin Hall, Chance Mallory, Sam Lewis are all above average shooters. And then you have players inside that are elite at rebounding. Johan Grunlow and Uganya Onyenso. These are massive, massive dudes. SMU's defense is pretty weak. 87th overall, 180th inside, 87th on the perimeter. It may take a solid rebounding performance from UVA because Samet Yigitolu is decent as a rim protector, but he also comes with some weaknesses. Like you could beat this team in pick and rolls. That's been an issue for SMU. This Virginia team is really well coached, and with the dearth of options they have, I think they're going to be able to score. SMU is 34th in effective field goal percentage, one spot behind Virginia, 46th inside, 79th from three. They do not shoot threes. 307th in three-point rate. Boopy and Corey Washington are both above 40%, so when they need to, they're pretty good. But most of this offense flows through BJ Edwards playing the point. Then he works in tandem with Boopy Miller. Yigitolu cleans up whatever comes off the glass. This Virginia team is pretty good in defense, man. 17th overall, 5th inside, 10th on the perimeter. They also match up pretty well against this team, who's going to try to play a lot of inside-out stuff, work through the two-man. It's a tough matchup for SMU. Turnover and foul margin don't really project to play a major role. Virginia fouls a lot, but SMU doesn't really generate any. The opposite is true of turnovers, like the exact opposite. Virginia is 99th in bench minutes. SMU is 352nd. But somehow Virginia is 263rd in free throw percentage, which is not, it doesn't make any sense considering they're a good shooting team. SMU is 29th. We mentioned tempo already. 263rd for UVA, 122nd for SMU. We took a total in this game already, and I think you could also play this. It's currently at 153. We hit a 152, so not a huge difference overall there. If you are looking at a spread in this game, let's see what the model has. I forget off the top of my head. But my first instinct was UVA. We have it about minus 1.7. So not a ton of value there, but if you wanted to play UVA, I think you could. I'm a little nervous on it, so we'll probably hesitate ourselves. A couple things from the live chat. What's up, Wags Wagers? Good morning. Good to see you. Glad to see you doing CBB. Thank you. I wish I was feeling a little better in this first week. I keep having to cough, and I'm sure my voice is awful. Your model likes Georgia money line minus 145. I'd take Arkansas and the points if gun to my head. Yeah, I get that. That's the side I'm on. It does scare me with Georgia. Their body of work just isn't there for me. And Arkansas has been awesome, man. But we'll see how it goes. It's going to be a fun game to watch. Where to next? Let's see. St. John's Nova. Got to give the Big East some love after they kind of embarrassed themselves last night. My Marquette Golden Eagles, that is. Anyway, St. John's 2.5-point favorite over Villanova with a 149.5 total. Very curious for this game. A lot of information that we'll get. Only real injury is Tafari Kapari has been out for a while for Nova. St. John's is still 18th in the analytics at KenPom, despite kind of a weird body of work. But then you see their losses. It's like, all right, you got Alabama, Iowa State on a neutral by 1 point. Auburn, Kentucky, all those teams are good. The real one that was questionable is Providence. But then their wins, they only have one top 50 win. It was against Baylor out in Vegas. So that is concerning. They do have 3 road wins, though. Now, how much do you want to put into beating Georgetown, Butler, and Creighton on the road is kind of up to you. I don't think beating those teams in the Big East is all that impressive, but this has been the 15th most difficult schedule for St. John's. They still scare me with their roster. If they put it all together, this team has a lot of upside. And we've seen like people in the media pick them to win it all going back to the preseason. Nova's kind of been a surprising team, though. They're 14-3. Losses are pretty good. They lost to BYU, Michigan, and Creighton. That's 2 top 15 teams in Creighton. The Creighton one was by 4 points. They do only have 2 top 50 wins, took overtime to beat Wisconsin. That was basically an away game. And then they beat Seton Hall on the road, too. They've actually played the 27th ranked schedule. St. John's is a shorter team. They're 156th in effective height. Villanova is 128th. I'll say that's changing a little bit. They've kind of benched their short king point guard, Dylan Darling. He's playing fewer minutes. So with that, St. John's has a taller lineup than they've been using previously. Both teams are pretty good on the glass. St. John's a little better, just more aggressive out there. Both teams are especially good on the offensive glass, actually. They're outside the top 200 defensively, both of them on the glass. So most of the rebounding stats are driven by the offensive side. St. John's is 107th in effective field goal percent. Unlike last year, they're not bad at shooting threes. They're 76th. They're still not shooting many, and it's basically Ozziah Sellers and Josan Sanin. And the rest of the offense is basically living in transition. They do play pretty fast and just hitting the glass. Villanova is 60th in total defense. They're 127th inside, 235th on the perimeter. They're not a good defending team, but their style kind of limits the opportunities that St. John's plays with. Nova's a very, very slow team. They do not want teams to get out and run in transition against them. Duke Brennan is a decent rim protector, and I don't think he's really going to have that much success against like Ejiofor, but at least like St. John's doesn't really spread the floor with their bigs. The problem with Duke Brennan is when you like move him. He's good in the paint. He can't really move around, but I don't know if St. John's is going to do that. Anyway, Nova, 54th in effective field goal percent. Good at shooting everywhere, 62nd in threes. They're going to shoot a lot of threes too. This team's top 55 in three-point rate. Play a lot inside out and through the pick and roll. They're like St. John's, and they do rely a lot on rebounding. St. John's is 25th in total defense. They're 89th on the perimeter. Basically, you've got Dylan Mitchell and Zuby Ejiofor kind of clogging up the middle, so it's easier to shoot over the top of them. There are a lot of good shooters for this Nova team. Bryce Lindsey, Devin Askew, Tyler Perkins, Matt Hodge. All of them are 36% or better. Askew and Lindsey above 39%. Turnover margin's pretty similar for both these teams. St. John's does generate a lot more fouls, but Nova's rarely committing them. Tempo is drastically different. St. John's trying to run. Nova is going to try to drag them into a slower game environment. We actually have Nova favored in this game on the model side based on the home court and the struggles that St. John's has shown throughout the season. It's only a half point. Scores projected for us at 74.9 to 74.5. Maybe this is just me being a coward, man, but I don't know if I can get there. Seeing the names on the St. John's roster and what they've done this year, it just doesn't compute to me. With Bryce Hopkins, Zuby Ejiofor, Josan Sanin, Mitchell, I just can't fathom that this Nova team would be favored over them. I understand why, but this is just, I don't know, man. Wags Wagers got St. John's at plus money to open is insane. Yeah, man, that's a great play. If that would have been available, I missed it, obviously, but man, that would have been a great play. I don't even think I can get there at the current number with Nova, even though I show value there. But anyway, we'll see. Wyatt, good morning. Let's get it as always. Agreed there. Agreed there. We've got a couple more games, like 7 or something. If you guys want to hear about one, let me know. But Kentucky, Tennessee, kind of a battle of underachievers in the SEC so far. Tennessee's a 6.5 point favorite, depending on where you look. 146 total here. We did play Tennessee minus a 4.5 very early in the day yesterday. Excuse me, minus a 5.5. So it's jumped a little bit. I'm a little nervous when this starts getting up to 6.5, but I'm looking right now. It's kind of all over the board. Totals of 146 in this game. A lot of injuries, especially on Kentucky. Jalen Lowe's out for the year with that shoulder. Jaden Quaintance. I don't know what to make of Kentucky, man. They're 27th in the country, still on Ken Palm, despite all their struggles. They've lost to Louisville, Michigan State, North Carolina, Gonzaga, Alabama, and Missouri. One thing you can say is all those teams are pretty good, redeemable losses, except for maybe Missouri, and they did drop that game at home. But then you look at their wins. Okay, they beat St. John's on a neutral court. We just went into them and their struggles. What's their other good win? Indiana, I guess? They did just beat LSU on the road, so at least they're picking up some road wins. And the schedule's been kind of tough. But this Kentucky team has struggled and a lot on defense. Tennessee's kind of the opposite. They're 12-5, losses to Kansas, Syracuse, Illinois, Arkansas, Florida. So only one loss that you're really worried about being Syracuse. They have wins over Houston, Louisville, Texas, Texas A&M. That's a pretty good resume overall. It's just the good comes with the bad. 26th overall in strength of schedule. Both these teams play with good height. Both these teams are good in rebounding. Tennessee often uses a lineup that's like 3 players 6'8" or taller with like Nate Ament, Dwayne Brown, and Felix Okpara. And that's probably going to be a problem for Kentucky, who has good size in the front court, but they're not using like a sizable 3-man like Nate Ament at 6'10". Anyway, Kentucky's still a pretty good shooting team, especially from the inside. They're 156th in three-point percent. Otega Owe and Denzel Aberdeen are really the guys that get it done out there. Inside, I'm still a little worried without like acquaintance. You get like the occasional Malachi Moreno play, but I don't really buy this offense long-term, especially because Tennessee's defense, while they're not as good as last year, they're still 11th overall. Pretty good rim protection with Okpara. Like, Gillespie's a good ball defender. Nate Ament is still 6'10" and long. It's hard to score on this team. And with the current state of Kentucky, that leaves me worried. Now, Tennessee's got to do their part to cover the spread and win because they can't really score that well. They're 141st in three-point percent, 80th in effective field goal percent. They're not really trying to shoot threes, 296 out there. But this is funny, only 2 players have more than 35 three-point attempts. It's Nate Ament, he's shooting 27%, and then Jacoby Gillespie at 35. I mean, they haven't even been super efficient at the rim. Now, Kentucky's 94th defending the interior. Moreno is okay defending the rim. Cam Williams is decent inside, but if Tennessee can drive and get the ball inside, they might be able to score here. The only other problem with Tennessee is they do turn the ball over way too much. They're 274th in turnovers committed. Lucky for them, Kentucky rarely forces them. 180th in turnovers forced. Fouls don't project to play a major role in this game. Tempo-wise, it's pretty similar. Kentucky's 157th. Tennessee is 221st. Currently, we make this right around 6.5. So if you can get a 6, I think that's fine. We'll be looking for like the 5.5s we played earlier, stuff like that on the Tennessee side. But I could see this also being, if the model's incorrect one direction or the other, it's probably on the Kentucky side and Kentucky being overrated with the injuries they've had. So you can run the model for any length of time too. So just running it from December 1st onward, it made the line minus 8.4. If you're on the fence about this, it was kind of a difference maker for me too. By the way, it was FanDuel that opened St. John's plus 1.5. There are a lot of bad openers. I'll say this. We've hit a lot of openers this year, got a lot of CLV that hasn't mattered, especially this week, which is funny. But all right. That's it for the full breakdowns. Want to rapid fire some games, do like a stat or two on a couple big ones that we played. UConn and Georgetown. UConn's minus 11, 141.5. I'm buying UConn, selling Georgetown. UConn's number 9 in the country. Their only losses to Arizona. They battled some injuries earlier in the year, and I'm not really going to look at the game against Providence that they won an OT or like the kind of close game against Seton Hall and panic on this UConn team. They have an awesome body of work. Like, this team has wins over BYU, Illinois, Kansas, Florida, a lot of them not in their home building. The strength of schedule is 8. The thing I want to hammer home here is let's not forget how good this UConn team is. This is an elite team with everything you'd possibly want. The only thing you could maybe poke a hole in is their depth in the front court with Terrace Reed fouling a lot. But Solo Ball is shooting 29% from 3. This guy was an awesome three-point shooter last year. There's positive regression for this team. They have Demery and Mullins, and Caravan's having an awesome season shooting 44%. They're only barely even using Malachi Smith now. The lineup is huge. Smith has played 36% of their minutes in the last 10 games. When they're using Silas Demery at the 1 and Solo Ball at the 2, every single player on the floor is 6'4" or taller. And then you get to Georgetown. This team is an utter disaster for a lot of reasons. First of all, they didn't have Vince Ichukwueze for a long time, their rim protector. I don't really know how good that means you are when your team collapses without him. They're 9-8 overall. They have losses that are horrible to DePaul and Xavier. They have one top 100 loss to Clemson. I don't know how they managed that. It was 79-74. They're 1-5 in their last 6 games. It took overtime for them to beat St. Peter's. There's just a lot of problems with this team. But anyway, as far as some of the stylistics go, not just the resumes, this team can't really shoot. They're 263rd in effective field goal percentage. They can't really defend. They're 153rd there, especially bad at defending threes. 257th defending the perimeter. We mentioned all the shooters on UConn. Rebounding difference is 35th to 138 in favor of UConn, even with the size differences. And then, I mean, UConn sometimes turns the ball over. Georgetown doesn't force any. Kind of the same thing with fouls. This is a big mismatch. As far as the number that our model has on the back end, we make this closer to a 13. So I think you can play the 11. It's going to probably move like a half point or so if you're interested in this gross Big East game. Iowa State, Cincy. We'll try to get to that one at the end. Give me 1 second. This cold, man, is really taking it out of me. All right. We did bet a Clemson -4. It's up to 4.5. This one leaves me nervous. The main crux of the argument is Miami's schedule. They're 15-2. They've jumped to 29th in the country. They lost to Florida by 14, lost to BYU in a neutral. They were respectable in both games. They don't have a single win in the top 50. Best wins are against number 60 Ole Miss and number 59 Wake Forest. They're 249th in strength of schedule. A lot of their stats are going to be a little fraudulent with this body of work. But then you look at Clemson, who's 15-3. They lost to Georgetown, which was weird, but then played competitively against Alabama, lost by 6. Played competitively against BYU, lost by 3. This team has definitely better wins than Miami. Beat 36 SMU, 32 Georgia. They played the 50th most difficult schedule. So can we work with that? I think, first of all, yes, you can. But then you look at the overall body of work for both of these teams. Clemson, currently, they're the team that is going to play a slightly taller lineup. They're pretty similar on the glass, both these teams. Miami wins a lot through their offensive rebounding. They're 12th in the country there. But Clemson is 10th defensive rebounding, sort of neutralizing that matchup. Right now, Miami's 19th in effective field goal percentage, but you're going to run into the 14th ranked defense. So that's kind of where this matchup stuff really comes into play. Do we think Miami's going to shoot the ball as well against probably the best defense they faced in a while? Like, first of all, Miami's not shooting a lot of threes. Basically, most of this is going to come inside. They're 11th in 2-point percent. Clemson's good defending that area of the floor. Clemson's tall. So it's not necessarily the best matchup. Then Clemson shooting, they win a lot through the inside too. They shoot a lot of threes, but they're 220th in 3-point percentage. Luckily, Miami is very poor defending that area. I'll say this, it wouldn't be at the top of the card, but I think this one is still playable if you want to take a look at Clemson in this game against a Miami team that has no doubt run hot, but they've played kind of the schedule that allows them to do so. Our model has this -5.5. All right. Next up, Nebraska, Northwestern. This is one I really like. Took it -4.5 last night. Still show value on it now. Really, the only thing I think you could argue is the home court, which how much does that matter? This Nebraska team is awesome. And yeah, I know like everyone's looking for a place to fade them. They're 17-0. They've now beaten Illinois, Michigan State, and Ohio State, and Indiana. Their biggest scares came in some of those games, obviously. 58th most difficult schedule. But are we worried about Northwestern, man? Like, Northwestern is 8-9. They're 0-6 in the Big Ten. They have losses to Rutgers, who's 156. They're the worst Power 5 team. Minnesota. Who are their best wins? They only have one top 100 win against South Carolina on a neutral court. And then their next best win is DePaul? I mean, what are we doing here? The way this team plays, too, they take horrible shots. They take almost as many mid-range shots as anyone in the country. And Nebraska is like a well-put-together all-around team for the most part. Where's Nebraska's weakness? They're tall. They rebound fairly well. Northwestern does neither of those things. Northwestern's 144th in height, 243rd in rebounding. They shoot the ball well. Inside and out. Rink Mast is an awesome player. They've gotten more out of the guards than I ever thought they would. And they're 13th in total defense. Northwestern's 123rd in effective field goal percentage. They have one guy, Nick Martinelli. They can't shoot threes. They're 276 there. They went inside. Good luck playing inside and taking these long two-pointers. Currently, this is one I think you can play almost with confidence, but model has this closer to -8.5. Even on the road, that's one I'm going to play without question. Purdue, USC. All right, so a lot of this is just, actually, I don't know what the current number is right now. Let me look this up. Current number on USC, Purdue, it's 9. Okay, that's not bad. We took a 7.5. So Chad Baker-Mazara is hurt. He played 8 minutes in the first half of their last game, and he was sitting on the bench, but he couldn't play at all through the rest of it. It's a neck injury, allegedly, but I don't know if he goes in this game. And they've been a disaster even when he's been out there. Rodney Rice is hurt. This team does not have a feel for their rotation, which is a staple of Musselman at this point. But, I mean, we're in January by now. He usually does this in November, December. So they lost 2 games in a row to begin the month. And then we saw him bench Terrence Williams for Gabe Dines. Gabe Dines? Yeah, Gabe Dines is tall, but, I mean, he's a Horizon transfer who's horrible offensively and offers you decent rim protection at best. The one thing that's kind of redeeming is, I mean, Purdue doesn't really space you that well. Somehow they found ways to move around this with like Trey Kaufman-Renn on the inside. But this team can definitely shoot the ball over the top of you with Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer. And then Trey Kaufman-Renn is still an awesome big on the interior. Just how is USC going to defend this? I don't really know. And then USC can't score. They're 112th. They play fast. They like to play in transition. Purdue's going to take that away. They can't shoot inside or out. They don't rebound. They're 126th there. Purdue's 8th. They turn the ball over a ton. They foul a ton. I just don't really see it, man. And then the Baker-Mazara news, that's something to definitely watch in this game. So we play Purdue. Won't spend too much time on this. We took a 7.5. Think the 9 is fine if that's what you get. And a request from yesterday's video, Gonzaga, Seattle. I'm sorry, I forget the person who requested this game. I have not played it, but wanted to give you a quick breakdown. If you ever want to hear about a game a day in advance, if you leave it in the comments, I'll try to get to it best I can. But currently, Gonzaga is -13.5. The total is 151. We, on the back end, had the game -14.5 with a 148 total. The big thing here is Braden Huff is hurt, and that's pretty important to the game. But when you look at the differences in the teams, you still have Graham Ike inside. And then, okay, Seattle's come up with some actually pretty good wins this year. But for being 92nd in height, they're 310th in rebounding. Like, does Graham Ike have 27 boards in this game? They could. And then the Seattle team is decent on offense, or excuse me, decent on defense. They cannot shoot the ball. They're 231st in offensive efficiency, 171st in effective field goal, can't score inside, decent at shooting threes. Gonzaga is the 16th ranked defense in the country, and they're deep. So I understand why the line is coming down. It's a Huff thing, an injury thing, but I sort of don't buy it, and I lean Gonzaga if I had to make a play on the game. Again, I don't really know if it matters a ton. This is a game that Gonzaga should absolutely win. Their team with depth, like, okay, now you're going to use a little more time. Grant Foster at the 4. Probably Ike is going to play the 5. You've got Warley still in there. Braden Smith and Adam Miller playing your guards. Like, they're a deep team, so this doesn't concern me a ton. All right, let's go to the chat, see if there's any questions. Iowa State, Cincinnati. All right, so I'll take my face off this game for this one. Let's see what we have on the back end for Iowa State and Cincinnati. So current number I have, which took these lines about an hour ago, had Iowa State favored by 7 over Cincinnati. So basically you're kind of getting a premium on Iowa State right now, depending on what you think of Jizzle James, who returned for Cincinnati. Has kind of been changing lines a little bit. For reference, without Jizzle James, we had this -8.4. With him, it made it -6.3. So I guess technically a little value on Cincinnati. We made the total at 139. But as far as the stylistics go, Iowa State's coming off a pretty brutal loss against Kansas. And you have to go on the road here to a team in Cincinnati that just really can't score, whether Jizzle James plays or not. They are really tall, but funny enough, they still cede the rebounding advantage. Iowa State's 24 there. Cincinnati's 96. Shooting-wise, Milan Momcilovic nearly fouled out against Kansas. So he wasn't on the floor as much. It also wasn't his best game. This Iowa State team is third in three-point percentage, 14th in effective field goal. The offense operates with two pure creators in Josh Jefferson and Tamin Lipsey. Then you've got a pure shooter in Momcilovic. You've a great defense, a top 10 there. Basically, you're looking at a top 10 Iowa State offense facing off a top 10 defense in Cincinnati. But conversely, Cincinnati's offense is outside the top 230, playing Iowa State's top 10 defense. Strength of schedule, they're pretty close. Cincinnati does play a deeper bench, which I don't know. I don't really care about that. It's going to be an Iowa State or pass for me. Any thoughts on Alabama, Oklahoma? Yeah, I was looking at this game. I think you got to worry just about Bama's health right now. They played a lot of guys that aren't 100% and have struggled a little bit. But in this particular game, Oklahoma is definitely not a team I'm looking to buy. Our model currently has this minus 5.8, and the last number I saw was minus 5.5. But it's Alabama or pass for a lot of reasons. First of all, Alabama is going to throw threes up with those guards. Oklahoma's 201st in three-point defense. I mean, you're looking at LeBaron Philon against Nigel Pack. There's crazy mismatches out on the perimeter. Basically, Oklahoma is kind of a poor man's Alabama. They shoot a lot of threes too, but Alabama's just a little better defensively. And then on the interior, Oklahoma is a decent sized team. Alabama actually plays with a taller lineup, believe it or not. I guess if you're looking for some advantages, Oklahoma's direction, they attack the offensive glass, where Bama's not been the best rebounding team. But man, defensive efficiency is wildly different between these teams. Bama's 77th, Oklahoma's 189th. And then offensively, Alabama's just in a class of their own compared to Oklahoma. I would take Alabama or pass. I'm going to do more work on a lot of these games before we get to the slate. But it looks like that's it. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you. I'm trying to do these live on the weekends to save time on uploads. But otherwise, we'll continue these throughout the season. If you have any requests, please leave them in the comments for future games. I'll get to them best I can. But enjoy this Mega Saturday. There's some crazy games, man. We're going to enjoy it. Have a good time. Otherwise, we'll see you later, and good luck.